He had one rule he never broke, until she arrived and changed everything he believed in. He was not the kind of man who talked about his feelings. He never did. People around him knew that. His coworkers knew it. His family knew it. Even his old friends, the ones who had known him since school, knew better than to ask him how he was doing on a deep level. He would smile, say fine, and move on. That was just who he was. But there was one thing people did not always know about him, and that was the rule. He had made it for himself years ago, quietly, without telling anyone. It was simple. He would never mix his personal life with his work. He would never get emotionally involved with someone he worked with. No exceptions. No, but this one is different. No, maybe just this time. Nothing. The rule was the rule, and he lived by it like it was written in stone. And for a long time, it worked perfectly. He was a project coordinator at a mid-sized firm that handled public building contracts. He had been there for almost 10 years. In that time, he had watched colleagues fall into messy situations, office relationships that turned sour, friendships that became complicated, drama that spilled into meetings and emails, and awkward silences in the hallway. He had seen good people lose good jobs because of it. He had seen projects fail. He had seen reputations get damaged in ways that never fully healed. And he had told himself, never me. The rule did not come from nowhere, though. There was a reason behind it. A real one. About 8 years before all of this, he had been in a serious relationship with a woman he met through work. They had started out as colleagues on the same team. Over time, things became more. They kept it quiet at first, then it slowly became known. At the time, he thought it was fine. He thought they were mature enough to handle it. He thought love was stronger than the complications that came with it. He was wrong. When the relationship ended, and it ended badly, the way things sometimes do when two people want different things, and neither one knows how to say so, it did not just break his heart. It broke his professional footing too. There were uncomfortable conversations with management. There were team restructurings. There was the slow, painful experience of having to see her every day while trying to act like everything was fine and failing at it more days than not. He got through it. He rebuilt himself. But the lessons stayed with him, heavy and permanent. Keep the two worlds separate, always. That was the rule. And for 8 years, he kept it. Then she came along. Her name was Nadia. She joined the firm as an outside consultant, brought in to support a large restoration project, one of the most important contracts the company had taken on in years. She was from a different city, had her own established career, and was only going to be around for the duration of the project. A few months, maybe 6 at most. He did not think much of it at first. She was professional, confident. She came into the first meeting with a printed packet of notes, asked the right questions, pushed back on a timeline that everyone else in the room had already accepted without question. He noticed her because she was sharp. That was all. Or at least, that was what he told himself. They started working closely together because the nature of the project demanded it. He was managing the coordination side. She was overseeing the design and structural integrity aspects. Their responsibilities overlapped constantly. There were daily check-ins, long afternoon reviews, site visits where the two of them would walk through dusty, half-finished spaces and talk through problems that needed solving before the next morning. And somewhere in all of that, he started to notice things. He noticed that she never made anyone feel small, even when she disagreed with them. He noticed that she remembered things people told her, small things, personal things, the kind of details most people forget immediately. He noticed that she worked hard not to impress anyone, but simply because she cared about doing things properly. There was something in the way she moved through her work that felt genuinely real, genuinely human, not performed, not strategic, just real. He tried not to think about it too much, but the days passed, and the weeks passed, and the rule, the one he had lived by for 8 years without question, started to feel less like protection and more like a wall he was standing behind, watching his own life happen at a distance. One evening, both of them stayed late at the office, while the rest of the team had gone home. There had been a setback that day, a supplier issue that threatened to push the whole project back by several weeks. The mood had been tense since the afternoon. By evening, most people were too drained to keep going, so they left. But the two of them stayed, because neither of them was the kind of person who could walk away from a problem that was not yet solved. At some point, well past 9 at night, Nadia looked up from her laptop and said, "You know, you don't have to stay. I've got this." He said, "I know." And he stayed anyway. That was the moment he became honest with himself, at least privately. He was not staying because of the project. He was staying because leaving felt wrong, in a way that had nothing to do with work. It did not happen like something from a movie. There was no dramatic declaration, no sudden kiss in the rain. What happened was slower and quieter and more honest than that. It happened through dozens of small conversations and shared silences and moments of genuine connection that grew over weeks into something neither of them had planned for. She told him once, during a lunch break in a small cafe near the site, that she had been so focused on her career for so long that she sometimes forgot there was a life waiting for her outside of it. She was not complaining, she was just being honest, in the way that she was about most things. And he listened to her, and he thought, without saying it yet, that he knew exactly what she meant. He had been doing the same thing, building a life that was safe, controlled, orderly. A life where the rule protected him from ever having to be vulnerable again. And it had worked. It had kept him comfortable, but comfortable and alive are not always the same thing. He thought about the rule a lot during those weeks. He turned it over in his mind, examined it from every angle, and what he found, when he looked at it honestly, was that it had never actually been about professionalism. It had been about fear. Fear of getting hurt again. Fear of losing something important again. Fear of being the version of himself that he had been 8 years ago. Hopeful and open, and then completely shattered. The rule had not been wisdom, it had been armor. And armor, worn long enough, starts to feel like skin. You forget it is there. You forget you put it on. You forget there was ever a reason to take it off. He took it off. He did it the right way. Carefully. He spoke to the HR team and disclosed the situation before anything formal had even developed. He made sure there were no conflicts of interest, no ambiguity, no room for anyone to question the integrity of the project or either of their roles within it. He handled the professional side with the same seriousness he had always given to his work. He did not let the personal become an excuse for carelessness. And then, once all of that was handled, he told her the truth. He told her about the rule. He told her where it came from. He told her what it had cost him to live by it for so long, and what it felt like to finally set it down. He was not polished about it. He stumbled over some of the words, but it was true, and she could hear that it was true, and that mattered more than anything. She listened to all of it. Then she said something that stayed with him. She said that she respected the fact that he had a reason for the rule, that it came from a real experience, a real loss. But she also said this: protecting yourself from pain is one thing, protecting yourself from life is another. And at some point, you have to decide which one you're actually doing. He did not have an answer for that in the moment, but he thought about it for days afterward, and when he finally came to terms with it, he understood that she had given him something valuable. Not just her honesty, but a kind of clarity about himself that he had been missing for a very long time. The project finished on schedule, in the end. The building was restored. The team celebrated. Life moved on in the way life always does, but something had shifted in him that did not unshift. He was not the same man who had walked into that project with his wall built, and his rule intact, and his heart safely tucked away where nothing could reach it. He was not sure what came next. Real life rarely gives you a clean ending, and this story is no different. What he knew was that he had stopped running from something and started moving toward something instead. That, by itself, felt like enough. Some rules exist to protect us, and some rules, when we look at them closely enough, turn out to be the very thing standing between us and the life we actually want. The hardest part is telling the difference.